Hello. Today I'm going to talk about window dressing, which is, if it's a concept you're unfamiliar with, which is a highly deceptive practice in the commercial investment and banking industry, and one of my greatest pet peeves. So if you're not familiar, then please stay tuned and watch this video, and I'll give you a very pertinent question you can ask your financial consultant or private wealth manager the next time you have your quarterly meeting with them. Now, basically, all window dressing it's a practice whereby portfolio managers will add a stock that performed really well in the last days of the quarter, so they could pretend that they own that stock all along, and they could pretend that they were actually smart managers. And so, for example, before every hedge fund and portfolio manager in the world owned Apple, say in prior years when Apple was doing really well, if it had a quarter where it was up 25%, if a portfolio manager did not own Apple, then they would just add Apple to their portfolio on the last few days of the trading quarter, so they could list it in their portfolio as having owned it or at least within periods of having owned it the entire quarter. Because as long as a portfolio manager, at least in the United States, owns a stock for one trading day of that entire quarter, they can list it as part of their portfolio for the prior quarter. So there's no reason why window dressing would ever exist other than to be deceitful. That is the only reason. Because obviously your portfolio is not going to have the gains of that stock. So if Apple went up 25%, probably the darling stocks for the third quarter 2012 are probably all mining stocks, since a lot of them just went up 30-40% or so within the last quarter. So, a lot of them probably added mining stocks to their portfolio to make themselves look smart to their clients. So their advisors could basically be super deceitful in their presentations. If a client would ask, okay, let me see the top holdings of this portfolio, and they could list the stocks that people now know were the best performing stocks of the prior quarter just by window dressing and buying these stocks in the last few days of the trading quarter. And that is absolutely the reason why you see a lot of the best performing stocks of each quarter receive a substantial pop higher in the last few trading days of the quarter, because it's hedge fund managers and portfolio managers scrambling to add this stock to their portfolio so they can appear that they owned it for the entire quarter when clients come asking, hey, what stocks, tell me the top 10 stocks or top 10 holdings of this particular portfolio. So what I would say, for those of you that are still with commercial banking or investment firms, is to ask to see what the top 10 holdings are for each portfolio, and then to follow up that question to say, how long was this particular stock held in this portfolio? When did the portfolio manager add this stock? And if your advisor or consultant cannot answer that question, there's a reason, or refuses to answer that question, or says that they don't have that information, which is the most common answer. Oh, we don't have that information. We don't know. We just know it's a top holding of this portfolio. The reason they're saying that is because normally that such a stock was added as window dressing at the very end of the quarter to make it appear that the manager that's managing your money is actually smart, when they're nothing but a liar and a cheat and trying to be deceitful. So ask those questions at your next quarterly meeting and get those answers, because if your financial consultant or your wealth advisor cannot answer those questions, there's a reason they cannot answer those questions, or there's a reason they refuse to answer those questions. Again, I hate this practice. It should be illegal, because it is clearly a marketing ploy intended to deceive clients, but yet, of course, like 99% of other things that should be illegal, just because it's immoral doesn't mean it's illegal. So a lot of immoral things in the financial services industry have been made legal, have been legalized by financial services lobbyists to make clearly immoral, despicable things legal. So at the end of this quarter, or as this quarter wraps up, when we move into the next quarter, this is obviously a very pertinent and relevant topic to discuss. So for those of you that did not know this practice goes on, then hopefully this has enlightened you somewhat and given you a few questions to ask your advisor at your next quarterly meeting. Okay, until the next video, take care and have a great day.